Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden, but we're going to head up towards Stockholm for this one, the capital city, and we're having a look at another brewery who I have never tried anything from before. And this beer was just one that kind of caught my eye when I was looking through the lists on Systembolaget, so hopefully it turns out to be a nice one because it is a style that I've really been enjoying over the last kind of 18 months or 2 years. So for this review then we are going to go to the southern part of the city and we're having a look at my first beer from Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri. This one is the Kaffee Stout, but I think to give it its full name, we have to call it Kaffee Stout Nicaragua Regalo De Dios. I think we have to call it that because I think there are maybe a few different versions of this beer. But this one is basically a coffee stout coming in at 8.5% ABV, and it has Nicaraguan coffee in it from Johan and Nyström, who are one of the really well-known coffee roasteries up in Stockholm. Although they do have shops in other places actually around Sweden from what I understand. So yeah, very curious to see how this one turns out. If you've watched the channel over the last few years, you will know that I love coffee stouts, and a lot of that started when I tried the Sidamo Dim2 and then the Key from Dugas Brewery. So any coffee stout recommendations that you guys have would be highly appreciated. I love trying these beers. I actually don't drink coffee, but I think coffee beans are a really interesting adjunct to stick into beer. So yeah, do give me some coffee stout recommendations in the comment section below. But very curious to try my first beer from Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri. Always cool to introduce you guys to very new and very small Swedish breweries as well. So hopefully this is a good beer, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one as well. And a big thank you to the guys at Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri who gave me all the information that I'm about to tell you. So as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, as I mentioned. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri then, and this brewery was kind of run in two phases if you like. So as I've told you already, Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri are based in Stockholm in the southern part of the city, very close to Mariatorget, hence the name of the brewery. But the company was founded back originally in 2011, and it was run for the most part by Niels and Alan Montan, but there were various other owners who came in and out of the company, and under their sort of guidance, if you like, the brewery only really produced a pale ale, and this was done on a very small scale. The brewery has scaled up significantly since then. In 2017 though, there was a change in ownership, and the brewery was taken over by Mats Stjernsteg along with his sons Simon and Joel, and when they took over the brewery, it was still a very small operation, brewing only 50-litre batches. But Simon and Joel had a home brewing background. They'd been home brewing together since 2012 as a hobby, but then the opportunity came to take over the brewery for very cheap, so they went for it and did it. But the brewery itself is about 45 square metres, and at the moment they're producing around 100 hectolitres of beer per year, and they've got around 50 hectolitres of barrel aging capacity apparently as well. So hopefully we see some very interesting beers coming out of that barrel aging project actually. But yeah, as of July 2020, these guys have produced 83 different beers, and most of those, from what I understand, have come since 2017 and the change in ownership. So yeah, that's all the information I'm really able to tell you about Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri. I was talking to one of the brothers, I'm not sure whether it was Simon or Joel that I was talking to on Facebook to get more information on the brewery, but a big thank you to whoever it was that I talked to from the brewery. They gave me a lot of information to share with you guys here in the video. But that's all I have for you for the moment on the history section. Maybe we can add to that at some point in the future. But yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. So if you want to read more about Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on. You can check out the Rate Beer and Untappd pages to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course they do have a website that you can look at as well. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. So as you can see with this one, little 330ml can, it is quite nicely done actually. The artwork is very, very simple, but I think very tasteful. But yeah, you can see it, there is the symbol, Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri, just checking that you can see that on the camera there. But yeah, like I said, an 8.5% coffee stout. This one, it says coffee stout flavoured with coffee, with Nicaragua, Un Regalo De Dios. Nicaragua, is that King of the Gods? If I remember rightly, I don't know Spanish. But this coffee, as I said, comes from Johan and Nyström in Stockholm, who are one of the really well-known coffee roasteries in the country. But yeah, this one I think should be pretty damn interesting. So yeah, should be very nice. Tasteful artwork on this one, 330ml can. As I said, this beer was released as part of the Lokal Osmoskolik assortment for June of 2020. And 8.5%, not the strongest of coffee stouts that you're going to come across, but I think it still should be pretty nice actually. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. So yeah, as you can see and as you would expect from a coffee stout, this one has poured a lovely sort of dark ebony rosewood colour. If we shine the light through this one, it is pretty much black as night. There's nothing really coming through that, so definitely fair to describe this one as being a nice ebony colour. There was a solid, somewhere between a third and a half finger of a quite dark tan head. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass there, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head there, and the head is just fading away to be a very, very thin foamy layer. But I mean, overall it looks pretty nice, but nothing unexpected in terms of appearance for this beer when you consider what style it is actually. So yeah, this one I think looks pretty damn good for what it is actually. So yeah, I have to admit it smells pretty nice as well. I can get some of the coffee bean aromas just coming off the top of this one, but we'll go and have a closer look at that aroma then. So nothing particularly surprising about this beer in terms of appearance when you consider what style it is. Let's take a closer look at that aroma then. That's nice. Yeah, this one I think is this one, the coffee in this is actually really interesting. I mean, the first thing with it being a coffee stout, the first thing that is going to jump out at you is the coffee part of the beer. To me, this is a very, very earthy coffee actually compared to some of the other ones. When it comes to coffee beans, of course, the thing that really affects the flavour is the altitude that the coffee is grown at. They call it metres above sea level, and apparently when you start to go above 2000 MASL, M-A-S-L, that's when you start to get all the fruity flavours and the aromatic things and the citrusy notes and all of this. But of course other things are going to affect your coffee beans as well. The type of soil, the kind of minerals in the water and everything. All of these can affect the genealogy of the plant as well. All of these things can affect how your coffee beans turn out. I mean, I've had some really lovely fruity kind of coffees and things recently, but this one really strikes me as being, the coffee beans in this strike me as being very kind of smooth and very kind of earthy. They've almost got a little bit of a kind of ashy quality to them, which is interesting. Yeah, it really has a little bit of an almost kind of ashy type note to it. Could there be, I mean, could that be English Fugel hops? Could they be putting English Fugel hops in this as well? Because there's something very distinct and very familiar about that ashiness. So yeah, there is a bit of a kind of ashy quality to this beer as well. But yeah, so the coffee beans, as I say, they come out very, very smooth, but the coffee comes out to me as a little bit roasty and earthy. There is a little touch of aromaticity to it, but at the same time it's quite earthy. It really is very, very earthy and almost quite ashy, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, I like how that I do like how that side of it goes together. I mean, it's an interesting blend of things that's going on in here. But yeah, other than the coffee beans, which do add their own level of complexity, I mean, you can smell a nice little bit of dark chocolate in this one. There's some lovely, there really is some kind of lovely smooth, how do you say, there is a bit of a kind of brown bready quality to this one. I'm guessing they'll be using like special bee or something like this or carafa or something like that as the backbone, they will be using one of these kind of malts in there, because there is a little bit of that brown bready character, but there's also a nice kind of dark chocolatey note to this one as well. But the chocolate is also well balanced. There is a bit of a lighter kind of cocoa chocolate in there as well, so you do get some kind of 40%ish more milky chocolatey cocoa esters out of this one, but at the same time you also get some of the kind of darker 70-80% cocoa aromas in it. There is a wee bit of brown sugar for me as well, like a toasty caramel, but at the same time a kind of sweet caramel. This beer really has a good level of complexity for it, and I mean, when you consider that it is an 8%er, it's by no means the heaviest and booziest coffee stout that you're going to come across, but I would say this one really does have a very nice kind of balance to it, in fairness. I mean, the aroma that comes out of this, I think, for an 8.5%er is pretty damn impressive. So I think this is going to be quite a nicely done beer. There's a few woody undertones to it, little touch of nuttiness as well, but you can usually get that from these kind of beers, particularly from coffee stouts. But yeah, the malty side of this beer is really quite nice. So like I say, it strikes me as being quite an earthy coffee. This one almost a little bit ashy and roasty, but yeah, the malty adjuncty side of this beer is really nice actually. Take a bit of time to enjoy that. On the hoppy side of things, on the hoppy side of things, I would say I do wonder if there are English Fuggle hops in this one. It does have a little bit of that kind of ashy, earthy sort of thing. There is definitely a little bit of a kind of earthy, ashy type quality to this one. You've got some nice kind of floral aromaticity coming out of the beer as well, but that's not too prominent. There's a bit of a lighter grassiness in there too, but you've also got some, you've also got a nice little bit of a kind of juicy, fruity quality in there as well. So I mean, this one is really nice in that sense. I do find the more and more that I smell this beer, the more ashy and sort of woody it gets. But on the fruity side of things, it's quite, to me it's quite, there's a little bit of a juicy kind of plum to it, there's a little bit of a kind of plummy note to it, some figs, and maybe just a little bit of a kind of blackcurranty, blackberry sort of thing. But I don't find the fruit too prominent in this one compared to other coffee stouts that I've had. So yeah, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one before you get stuck in, but let's have a taste of this now and see how we get on. So this one is the Kaffee Stout Nicaragua, how do we say it? Nicaragua Un Regalo De Dios, which is an 8.5% coffee stout using Nicaraguan coffee roasted by Johan and Nyström in Stockholm, brewed by Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri, my first ever beer from these guys. Let's get stuck into this one. Sláinte, skål. That's nice actually. I like this one. This one, its first impression of this is it's got a lovely. This stout has a lovely oiliness to it. That's the thing that really strikes me. This is the mouthfeel. I think is quite different compared to other coffee stouts that I've had before. It's just got a lovely, smooth, oily character to it. So thumbs up to them for that. I like that. I will say straight away, this is an absolutely solid coffee stout. This is really well done. The 8.5%, I think, if I remember rightly, the Key and the Sidamo Dimtu, they were like 10 or 11%. Those two that I had from Dugas, and you know, those were the two ones that got me really into this whole kind of style, if you like. And it's interesting to try lower alcohol ones like this because they can, they can work out really nice. I've had a few coffee porters and stuff from very small breweries back home in Scotland, notably Beath Brewery. They've got a lovely coffee porter, but yeah, the flavour that comes out of this one is really nice actually. They're onto something with this. But yeah, what I would say about this one is, it's definitely one of these beers where the coffee is intended as the coffee sort of forms the backbone of the beer and sits there into the aftertaste, but there's a lot of stuff going on top of that. Whereas I think with some of the other coffee stouts I've had recently, the coffee has been carrying everything, if you like. This beer has other things that can carry it as well, if that makes sense. It's one of these ones where the coffee is really, the coffee I think makes up maybe 50% of the beer, but there's another 50% of things that are quite interesting as well about this one. So yeah, it's a very well balanced coffee stout. I think I have to say that about it. It is Very, very nicely done. I wouldn't hesitate to drink this again, certainly not. And this is one of the things that I've been kind of encouraging or trying to hope that Dugas see my reviews and sort of follow through with, because you know they are, I think, one of the best coffee stout producers in the world. I'd love to see them do a series with different coffee beans and things like that. And these Nicaraguan coffee beans that Mariatorgets have used are really interesting and really very nice actually. And on top of that, they've produced a really kind of solid beer. So if you like these things like Key and Sidamo Dimtu, but you find them a little bit sort of beastly or heavy or whatever, this is an ideal one to kind of go down to if you like. This is one that's just a little bit more sort of easygoing. It's a lovely beer, this one. I mean, you don't want all your beers to be big 11% beasts, and that's what they've pulled off here. They've just got this one really fine tuned. It strikes me as being very fine tuned and just really nice and easy going, if you like. I like that about this beer. It gets a big thumbs up from me, this one. Try this one. If you like coffee stouts, pretty sure you will enjoy this one. This is nicely done. So yeah, when you take this beer in, as I say, it's got a little bit of sweetness to it. It's lovely and oily, and it just smoothens out very nicely. What you'll feel with this one is in the middle of your palate, it just gradually dries out a little bit, and you start to get more of the roasty kind of coffee notes pushing its way out of this one. I really like how everything goes together in this beer. This is very nicely done. Yeah, this one is pretty damn awesome, I have to say. So yeah, let's try and break this down a little bit then. So straight away with this beer, it has, you can feel a bit of the kind of you can feel a little bit of that kind of pale malty base to this one. That blankets the middle of the tongue. You can feel that in there, but very quickly it sort of converts to be an almost like woody, leathery sort of thing. I would say more woody than leathery. Like the pale malty quality just has this kind of woody, leathery quality about it, and that blankets the middle of your tongue and the middle third of your tongue and the back third of your tongue, and I really like that about this one. If you go towards the back third of your tongue, you can feel some of the roasty black malt kind of sitting there, and you've also got some of the kind of smoother roast from the coffee beans sitting there as well. So I really like how that side of it goes together. In terms of the in terms of the middle of your palate, that's where the biggest levels of complexity for this one are coming. So as I say, you've got that kind of pale malty base, you've got the woody notes in there. On top of that, you start to get some of the nice kind of chocolatey qualities out of it. You do get a nice kind of chocolatey note sitting in there, and it's a kind of balance. As I say, it's a bit of a balance between a kind of more milky chocolate, a kind of 40%ish cocoa, but at the same time there are a few vibes of like a 70-ish%, slightly darker chocolate in there, but by no means the big beasts like the 80-90% cocoa. But you can feel that you almost get a little bit of an island in the middle of your palate there. So you've got the chocolate kind of sitting in there, and I think the coffee flavours really sit there in the middle of the palate as well. So you've got this whole kind of coffee chocolatey sort of thing going on. Again, the coffee really strikes me as being very smooth but also quite earthy. There's a little bit of an aromaticity to this one, but it's nowhere near as aromatic, citrusy and fruity, if you like, as some of the other ones, pardon me, that I've come across recently. And I have to say, it is something that fascinates me. It is like it's like different hops. Coffee beans are like different hops. They've all got their own characteristics and things like that. And again, if you grow the same variety of hops in a different country, Cascade is an example. If you look at the New Zealand Cascade and the American Cascade, you've also got the Soriachi Ace, the original Japanese one versus the newer American one. Even if you grow them in different countries and stuff, the same variety, it can change quite significantly. So yeah, coffee beans are really a very, very interesting adjunct to add into these beers. But yeah, I do like how this one goes together. As I say, the further you go into the aftertaste, the coffee, the kind of roastiness and smoothness of the coffee pushes its way out a little bit more, definitely, and that kind of lingers there. It does linger there into the aftertaste. If you go from the front corners of your palate diagonally backwards, you do get a few kind of woody undertones pushing their way out of this beer, which is nice. But you've also got you also have a very nice you've also got just a little bit of a kind of nutty quality there. If you go to the very centre of your palate and then move forward a little bit, you will get a few nutty elements out of this one. But the middle of the palate, there is a wee bit of brown sugar in there, but I think it's the coffee and the chocolate. They're really forming the sweet backbone of the beer, and that's what's kind of covering up the booziness of the beer. Actually, about 8.5%. As I say, this is by no means the heaviest coffee stout that you're going to come across, but it is pretty damn nicely done, I have to say. In terms of the how do you say, the hoppy side of this beer, then that's the other thing that complements this. If you go towards the back corners of the palate, you've got a lovely kind of softer earthiness from this. In terms of, I was thinking there was Fugel hops in this one, the ashy, you do get a little tiny touch of the ashy quality from the coffee, but otherwise I don't find it too crazy, to be honest with you. But the back corners of the palate is sitting there. As you move further forward along the side of the tongue, it just smoothens out a little bit, so you get a nice earthiness just kind of pushing forward there. You get a nice little bit of floral aromaticity on the front corners of this one. Then as you go round the front curve of the palate, it's a little bit lighter and grassier, which is quite nice. So I like how this one goes together. And I think the fruitier side of the beer is really nice in this one as well. So for me, at the front of the palate, when you take this in, you do get a little bit of a, what is a wee bit of an almost kind of plummy character to it. Yeah, it has got a wee bit of a plummy note to it, maybe even a little bit of a sharper raisin as well. But you will find that on that front third of the palate, where you get that nice oily bubble where the esters push their way out of the beer, you will find you get a little bit of a juicy plum and a sharper raisin in the beginning, but then it just juices out across the middle of your palate, and you do start to get a bit of a kind of pruny or slightly figgy quality to this one. But then on the very tip of your tongue, you will find there's a little bit of a blackcurranty, blackberry type flavour just developing out of that on this. But yeah, the thing that really lingers into the aftertaste for me is the smoothness, the earthy smoothness of the coffee, and a lovely little bit of kind of ashy character coming out of this one. I mean, I think this is a really, really solid coffee stout, this one. I really like what they've pulled off with this one. This is a solid beer for me. So massive thumbs up to Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri for this one. I think they've done a very, very nice job here. I like this one. Certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. I think whatever they've done with this, they've got a really solid base here. It would be cool to see them experiment with this a little bit and, you know, try different coffee beans and things, because this is definitely, I would go as far as saying this is one of the best slightly lower alcohol coffee stouts that I've come across. I think they've done a really, really damn good job of this one, I have to say. It gets a massive thumbs up from me, this beer. Give this one a go for yourself and see what you think. I think this is really nicely done, and this is one of the reasons why I love trying the beers from the very small Swedish brews, because the home brewing culture has been so strong here. You'll get beers like this from the very small guys, and it really is, it's awesome to be able to feature these for you here on the channel. Actually, the standard of beer in Scandinavia, well, in Sweden and Scandinavia generally, and the Nordic countries, I guess we could say, because the Finnish stuff and the Icelandic stuff I've been very impressed with as well. This quality of craft beer here is really very, very good, actually, I have to say. Top notch. So yeah, well done to Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri for this one. I'm hard to impress with this style as well, because, you know, because of my favourite beers being the Dugas ones, of course, and their standards are very high, but this is really, I think this is really damn good, actually. In terms of the mouthfeel then, like I said, that's another thing I really like about this one. I find this to be one of the more oily coffee stouts that I've had. It's at the bottom, I'd say it's at the bottom end of full body, this one. It's got a lovely slickness to it, big oily mouthfeel. Carbonation, there's a little bit of it, but not a lot, to be honest with you, but that really suits this beer. However they've conditioned the carbonation and stuff for this one, I wouldn't change that. It really is very, very nice. In terms of bitterness and things, this one's got to be about a 60, I think this is about a 60 IBU beer, and I think some of that bitterness, of course, is from the coffee, some of it is from the hops. but yeah, it's quite, I'd say about 60 IBUs. It's not going to blow the head off you in terms of bitterness, and at the same time some of the bitterness has a really nice kind of smoothness to it. But yeah, the malt base and the adjunct side of things, very, very smooth in a lot of ways. The coffee is the thing that really lingers there, and the earthiness of the coffee, and there is a little bit of an aromaticity in the middle of the tongue as well. That's what really lingers into the aftertaste with this one. So the malt base is very smooth. There is a degree of chocolatey sweetness to this one. There is a little bit of brown sugar in the middle of the palate, in fairness too. A little bit of a very slight dark caramel to this one. But yeah, the malt base is where the complexity of this beer is, because of the malts and the adjuncts, of course. But yeah, nice little touch of hoppy bitterness, some juicy kind of fruity notes to the beer as well. But yeah, I think this is a really solid coffee stout, this one. So well done to Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri for this. This is a lovely, lovely lower alcohol coffee stout, this one. I do hope that they release a few more of these with like different coffee beans or something, because I think they might have got themselves into a good little niche here. I think these guys might be another very solid coffee stout producer. I mean, the other very good ones I've had, as I say, the ones from Dios. I've had the Dubel La Bomba from Mully's. That's a very, very good beer as well, and then this is another really, really solid one too. So yeah, have a go at this if you're a fan of the coffee stouts. I think they've done an awesome job of this. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. Just a lovely, lovely beer in my opinion from Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri. So yeah, this one was the Kaffee Stout Nicaragua Regalo De Dios, the king of the Nicaraguan king of the gods, something like that. I guess that's probably the name of the coffee bean variety. But yeah, a lovely lower alcohol coffee stout from Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri in Stockholm. I'm going to keep an eye on these guys and see what else they're doing, because this has been a really nice beer to review. But yeah, thank you again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri. We will return to these guys at some point soon, I'm sure. This has been an awesome one to review. Hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys very soon. Until the next time, slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slàinte, skål. Make sure you check out Mariatorgets Mikrobryggeri. If you try one of their coffee stouts, you are in for a little bit of a treat in my opinion. Cheers.